Porter Brooks, and I am your host. Everyone's coming to the party. Don't miss it. I'm Porter Brooks, and on this episode, it's all about raclette. Raclette is a cow's milk cheese that's kind of semi-soft, and it found its origins literally in the 16th century throughout the region of Switzerland and France, right where they come together. Actually, it's a killer memory for me because raclette was our Christmas Eve meal every year in my family, and it first was inspired after traveling with my father as a kid to Chamonix. Well, if you've never had raclette, it's this amazing cheese, pretty hard to find in the States, but it's becoming more available. So I wanted to show it to you actually when it is shrink wrapped. Typically, raclette is made in a full wheel, and it was kind of the fondue before fondue became popular, because what they would do is after skiing or on the farm, they would take the entire wheel of raclette and they would set it next to the fire. This big chunk would sit right on the hearth, and it would start to get soft and ooey and gooey like you're gonna see here. And then everybody would take a old iron forged metal, wow, it's really strong, type of utensil, and they would scrape it off. In fact, the word raclette actually comes from the French word which means to scrape. So it has two countries that have merged together, and it's always this big, giant flavor. And the best thing about raclette is that it's 100% social, meaning that everybody used to sit around the fire, and one by one, they would put their iron tool in so the cheese would get melty. Then they'd scrape it off with the winter root potatoes, because that's all that they could hold, and a little bit of ham. In the day was actually horse meat. Today we're going to be using this beautiful rosemary scented ham. And then of course, again, everything that's stored throughout the winter to feed the farmers, things like cornichons, little miniature pickles, everything that's fresh and tart, and of course, great mustard. Well, what I love about entertaining with raclette is that everybody sits around. And normally what we do is we put cushions all over the living room. We plug in the raclette machine, which I'm going to show you, and everybody just sips and bites and drinks and enjoys this beautiful cheese all night long. So the key about raclette is making a giant spread, and it's all about marrying these different flavors. I'm going to start right off with just some beautiful New York apples. I saw these in the market the other day, and I thought, perfect with raclette. Slice off, well, if we have 6 or 8 usually, depends on how big your raclette machine is. I like to do individual plates of all types of different tastes. Again, it's really social, so it's pass me a that, give me a this. It's a definite icebreaker, especially for a date night if you're interested in something really fun to do. So a little bit of apple, and I usually just start building an entire arrangement of different items. And then my toolbox, as usual, I'm always running around town with my toolbox, and this one is full. Let's see what we have here. I went to the deli, okay. Great salamis. Again, several hundred years ago, we would have cured meats, different salamis. Different countries had different items such as prosciuttos or ham. I love just a great deli salami, a high quality one. It's nice and soft because we have a super dry one as well. And you want that contrast in the texture and the flavor. All right, that should be enough to get us started. I always have a backup tray of wonderful things for raclette. I'll set that aside. I've got the machine sitting right behind there. All right, bag number 2. Let's see what is behind number 3. This is our wonderful rosemary scented ham. Again, hundreds of years ago, it was really the meat that they could cure and keep in the barn or actually underground in the cellar. Today we have these gorgeous delicacies. Look at this fantastic thinly sliced rosemary ham. A whole new modern twist on a classic Christmas Eve Okay, here we go. I just want to get a little bit of bite of this. Wow. Right? The rosemary gives it a whole different layer. I think we're probably going to need 2 or 3 of these, so I'm just going to separate them out. And again, everybody's going to pick and choose with their fingers. So let's do a plate of our rosemary ham. Well, I've told the story many times, I don't think ever on camera, but it was a time when my mother decided not to travel with my father for a business trip to Geneva, Switzerland. So I was very lucky that I got to use that ticket in the day. Even the names didn't have to match on the plane ticket. So I jumped in place of my mom, and I ended up having this really cool time. Well, during the day, my dad and I decided that we'd take a drive around Lake Geneva and into Chamonix, France. And as the story goes, it's a true story. They had all these giant cows all over in all the pastures, and we called it the Raclette cow. No joke, my dad pulled the rental car over, went up to the cow behind the barbed wire, and reached around the cow and took the bell off his neck. And to this day, I still have the Raclette bell, which is somewhere in my family, sure to come out on every Christmas Eve. Okay, 2 beautiful piles of rosemary ham. Man, that smell is amazing. We have apples being sliced. I'm gonna fill some mustard, but before we do that, I have some beautiful small golden potatoes that are boiling on the stove. I'm gonna let those cook just a little while longer. When we come back, I'm gonna drain those off. I'm gonna show you how I finish this entire raclette assembly, and then we're gonna get a bunch of friends around this table, including my crew who is hungry and they wanna eat. We'll be right back. I'm Porter Brooks. Tweet me at @theporterbrooks, but don't go anywhere because the party is just beginning. I'll be right back. On this episode, it's all about cheese, smelly cheese from Switzerland. It's gonna taste great. Raclette with friends, don't miss it. Well, if you're just joining me, I'm Porter Brooks, and today it's all about ooey gooey, yummy cheese. I'm entertaining with raclette, which is this fantastic way to eat almost like an old-time fondue. So if you're just joining us, I've already put together a couple plates of this beautiful rosemary scented ham, all available at the deli, some great salami, and we have some apple for some contrasting flavor. Ever since 1291, if you can believe that, it was recorded by the monks in history that when you eat raclette, because the cheese is so heavy, you always want to drink white wine like a Pinot Gris or a beautiful Riesling. It helps break down the acid and it makes you sleep really, really well at night. No tummy problems at all. All right, earlier we mentioned how raclette was always about things that were in the root cellar. These are great cornichons that I've got from my purveyor, little miniature pickles if you're not familiar with what a little cornichon looks like. And this is the tart that's gonna go right next to the heavy, heavy flavor of this cheese. Again, it's all about a giant buffet when it comes to raclette. So I have 12 little plates. Usually what I like is probably 2 per person. Any plate that you have in your house will do, or come up with something creative. Use a little saucer or something that would be unexpected, perhaps something like a coaster that you might grab from your living room. All right, 2 things of cornichons should be just fine, although my brother and I used to fight over the cornichons all the time because they really were a delicacy back in the day, but now they're pretty much readily available. All right, salami is out, cornichons are out, apples are out, and let's talk a little bit about mustard. And the Dijon, of course, from the different regions, but it was always a very hot and spicy mustard. What I have is this great little crock, and it's a perfect little crock of moutarde right there, and this great little mustard server. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more to my crock, and I'm gonna have a few of these laying throughout the table. I don't know if you can see that behind my cheese. There we go. The raclette is becoming the star of the show, which is exactly how it should be when you entertain. It's never about you. It's always about your guest and always about the food. I like it to be overflowing and plentiful so that everybody feels like there's enough for them and anyone else they choose. All right, I'm gonna set that aside. I have my raclette assembly back here, which I'm gonna show in just a minute. And I promised a very hard sausage. Again, nothing better than the great store-bought products that are available today. We'll open that up and give some beautiful, nice, hard slices. Look at the color on the wood. This is what I want them to see. When guests come in, I want them to say, ah, we're home. This is a place that they can sit back, relax, be casual. Just because you all have to be served out of the exact same heating element that's gonna melt the cheese, it almost guarantees a lot of fun socially. So let's put those there. Okay, I'm gonna continue to build that, but you've been hearing all about this new way to entertain with raclette. I've told you about the old way. Let me move my toolbox out of your view because that's going to be where we're going to reveal some surprises later. And right behind here, I have in fact a modern day raclette machine. I'm going to move that over for you. So what you can see is I've got raclette for 6 and these great little pallets, and all these come with scrapers that allow you to push the cheese off. Let me grab mine. So once the cheese goes on, we're gonna shred it individually. It's gonna go under the heating element, and then we're gonna scrape it onto our little plates. But instead of using these modern scrapers, something that's a little bit more artistic, I've purchased beautiful oil painting knives that you would paint fantastic masterpieces with. And we're gonna use these metal art supplies as our scrapers for the raclette. All right, let's review again. The last thing that we're gonna need is to get our French baguette before we get our potatoes out. Now I have some pre-sliced pieces, but it's all about the bread and the cheese. And then of course, the real starch is going to come from the potatoes, which I have over here on the stove. And these have been boiling. I just want to show you how to strain and drain. I'm going to go right into the sink, always pouring away from you. Now, I had this salted with about 4 tablespoons of sea salt. Oh, those look fantastic. You can see our lovely yellow potatoes. This is what we're going to surprise everybody with, and it's going to be their starch with their cornichons, their raclette, potatoes, cheese, pickles, ham. What else could you possibly want for a great dinner party? There's only one missing ingredient on this menu so far, and that's my friends. When we come back, I want you to meet the party, and we'll be underway with raclette on this episode. Don't go away, I'll be right back. On this episode, it's all about cheese, smelly cheese from Switzerland. It's gonna taste great. Raclette with friends, don't miss it. Well, we're back with our big cheese raclette party here on the episode, and I promised you friends and a campfire in an urban space, and that's exactly what we have. I hope you're not just joining us, but if you are, I'll just tell you a little bit about what we have. Can you believe all this?
No.
My friend Tressa, no, she's just like, heck no. Okay, well, a modern day campfire is the raclette machine, and those potatoes that we pulled off have now been perfectly cooked, and I just want to show you how tender they are and how yellow they should be. That's how they all should be. Every time you boil a raclette potato, we'll put that there. All right, so who's never had raclette? Shivani, I know you haven't. Tressa, come on, they didn't have this in the Caribbean?
No, we did not.
Andrew,
I've had this.
I know you spent some time in France, and so you know whichever. Well, the first thing is to slice the raclette. So Shivani, why don't you give me your palette, which is under the heat, and the way you do this, just like they would, oh, you can hear that sizzle, is we'll put a piece of cheese on there. Andrew, how about you? This is why it's so great to be the host with. Hang on, look at he's holding out for a little bit more. Okay, Tressa. All right, so what we're gonna do, of course, by melting the cheese, it's just gonna get crispy and gooey. I know as a kid, everybody in my family liked it slightly different. I like it virtually burnt because I like that crispy top on it, and I think my mother probably liked it a little bit softer, but everybody has their own. Now, when you have extra pallets and not that many people, you fill them up because you just want to keep, the first time you have this taste, you're going to want it all night long. Are we full all the way around? One more. This is Andrew too. All right, hang tight, hang tight, hang tight. Perfect. Okay, we'll let those cook. Well, as I mentioned earlier, raclette was first written about in about the mid 1200s, and of course they always said that you needed to drink some white wine with it because the wine helps cut all of this cheese and the starchy potatoes to make sure your tummy feels good and you'll sleep well all night. So we're pouring just a basic white. We're doing a Chardonnay. You can also do a Riesling, which is really good. Nice and dry. And I have a whole selection of different flavors. So before the cheese comes out, why don't you take your little pallets? I'm gonna, Tressa, hand me your little plate. I'm gonna help serve you a little bit. Everybody grab a couple of potatoes. Now the way to do it with raclette is you can smash them, all right? Go ahead and reach in. Sausage for you?
Yes.
Absolutely. Andrew, sausage, and here, I'm gonna add a little cornichons right on top. And how about some, can I get you some rosemary and ham?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, ham and cheese, right? Still not Caribbean, huh? All right. You guys help you. You've got some ham over there. Help yourself. All right. Now, how are they looking? Shabani's like, oh, she's going in. Feel free to use your hands, and you all have forks. And of course, I've sliced some great baguette, which we just are going to use our work table as our side plate. Everybody grab some baguette. And Andrew has already gotten to one of the keys, and I've used these great little Swiss measuring cups that my parents gave me. So let me give you a dollar.
Thank you.
Boutard, did you get some? You got some going out there? Shabani, yeah. All kinds of great memories. Now, have you had the Swiss or the French raclette? Because I know you spent some time in France.
I've had both.
You've had both, yeah. And nowadays you can find both domestic and imported. Raclette is not inexpensive. True, if you wanted to do a fake, go ahead and use a great Gruyere or a good Swiss. You know, you'll be able to get away with that. All right, I can smell it. Shabani, let's take yours out. All right, here comes mine. First out. How do you do it? Take your little scraper. Does everybody have a scraper? You want a modern day or? There you go. All right, everybody has a plate except me. Mine is looking beautiful. Scrape away. Oh. All right, now I'm going to keep these going because that's how we keep the party going here. I'm popping that back in. You got it?
Yep.
Okay, here I go. More cheese. Andrew, don't look at her. Look at her. Don't go away empty. Stay there. All right. All right, time for first taste, guys. Here you go, Andrew. Another one back in. Now, this is the way we always did it. This was my Christmas Eve dinner with my family. The strangest thing, right? How did these Americans from California and Colorado end up? Well, it's because my dad traveled and we were really, really lucky. All right, so I'm going to get a potato, and here's how I do it. I smash it down, a little bit of ham on the hot cheese, a little bit of mustard. Andrew knows what he's doing. All right, I dare you, half a piece of cheese. Get it on that potato. All right, guys, here we go. Wow.
That's great.
Oh, wow.
Now, the monks were right. Take a sip of this at any temperature, and you'll see why. How was that, huh?
Wow.
See, you're already looking for your next one. I told you you would be. It automatically happens. Okay, this time I'm going to definitely do a sausage and grab a cornichon. Try one of those pickles. Beautiful. So you can see how fun and how social. Look at her. She's like, don't talk to me. All right, we've got another crispy. How are they looking over there, Andrew? Look at, and he's got his knife. You know that he spent time in France because the knife is out. All right. I'm going to make me a little raclette sandwich with my salami, and I can put my cornichon inside, right? And another bite. Wow. He's doing it exactly the way they do it. Pocket knife in hand. Great flavor, huh? Yeah. And so fun. So we usually sit around on the floor, and this is a great late night thing, by the way, after you've been out all night. Friend show, some potatoes to sop it up.
I think I'm gonna pull this.
It's such a distinct flavor, isn't it? Yeah, do it. You're the boss.
And it all goes together.
It all goes
You know, it all
together.
fits.
They were so smart long before us. Clearly I forgot your napkin, so feel free to use it as you see it. Okay guys, well, this has been a lot of fun, and I always love on the show when I get to bring you back to a memory, because what I always say is from a memory, you can make a memory. Just like we're making a new memory tonight, go back to that place and time in your mind, that one meal where you had great flavors. Look up the pieces, Google it. We have everything these days. Stay in touch with me, tweet me at the Porter Brooks. You're here with my friends. We're having a great time, and I will see you next time when I entertain the world one table at a time.